Well, I'm aware that in the United States, your Supreme Court decides all sorts of heavy, momentous decisions around all sorts of heavy, momentous topics. But up here in Canada, in 2019, our Canadian Supreme Court made a momentous decision that has changed our lives forever. Our Supreme Court decided that Canadian television broadcasters could remove American Super Bowl ads and replace them with cheap Canadian ads instead. Our lives have never been the same. So when you watch the Super Bowl in the States, you get to see the proper ads, but we do not. So we have to go to the internet to look for the ads that we've missed, which brings me to one of my favorite Super Bowl ads this last year. I didn't really enjoy the outcome of the game. Sorry, all you Chiefs fans. But I did like some of the ads. And one of my favorite ads was for Uber Eats, and it starred Jennifer Aniston, who made this statement: in order to remember something, you need to forget something else. And at the end of the ad, she meets, Jennifer Aniston meets and forgets who David Schwimmer is, her longtime co-star from Friends. It's a great ad. And I know you may wonder what any of that has to do with recovery, but I think that remembering and forgetting are of huge importance when it comes to recovery from embedded porn use. As I remember my relapses and work with guys who are coming out of a red week, that's in our what we call in our groups falling back into porn, having a slip, or relapsing, I am struck by the fact that our relapses are often the result of the process of forgetting. So today we discuss the topic, if relapse means forgetting, ...
Ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Well, I love to connect with guys about a variety of things regarding my story and how to get set free from problematic or embedded porn use. And there's a number of resources, a number of free resources you can download on the website of bandofbrothers.care. And on there, for example, I know guys that are connected with other people in accountability relationships. Maybe it's a group or just with another guy. And sometimes you get to a point where you're going, it would be great to have some resources that we could track through and walk through so we have something more to talk about. It's something to hang our discussions on. So on that website, you will see the information regarding the Finding Traction video course, the 52-week video course, and it's under resources. But there's also a whole bunch of free PDFs on there that you can find as well. That is all on the website, bandofbrothers.care. Again, if you're looking for information on how to get individual mentoring, I coach guys individually. Often every 2 weeks we'll get together and I'll work with them around some of their goals. Also, perhaps you're looking for information on joining groups. We're often starting new groups. I just started 2 new groups that we started meeting just last week. And we're often looking at starting new groups. So if you're interested in that, you can email me at bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. All right, so let's go back to this idea that if relapse is about forgetting. And yes, like the Super Bowl ad, we all tend to forget things. I would say this, though. I know in my journey, there's nothing that causes me to forget about the important things than when my brain is craving, I'm going to call it the sugar rush of porn. And if we are going to proceed very far down that journey into some form of a relapse, I mean, think about it. It's like we have to turn off the part of our brain that remembers. And when we do this and we fail to bring to mind, that's a fancy word for forget, when we fail to bring to mind some key things, it's what happens when we want to go down the rabbit hole of a relapse. So what are some of those key things that we forget, that we no longer can quite seem to hang on to? So I'm just going to give you 4 examples of things, and you might come up with others as well. 4 things that we forget in order for us to proceed into relapse. Number 1, we forget the relational pain that our problematic porn use has caused us. It's like it didn't happen. It's like it's not there. We just forget the relational pain. Number 2, we forget the internal emotional and spiritual pain and regret or despair or any of those associated feelings that follows a period of our acting out. We just forget. Or 3, we forget the time and cost and effort that regaining the lost ground from our relapse is going to require. I sometimes liken it, I don't know if you've ever been skiing, let's say in deep snow, and you let's say you lose a ski, and then you before you wipe out, you end up going farther down the ski hill, and you literally have to take that ski off and trudge back up the hill in deep snow to try to get your lost ski. And the idea is, if you slip and slide back down again, it's very easy to slide down 20, 30, 40 feet, but it takes a long time to trudge your way in deep snow back up again to that lost ski. That feels a little bit to me about what happens in a relapse. It's like all of this ground that I've gained, I so quickly throw away, and it's lost so quickly. And I'm not just talking about clean or sober time. That's just a number. I'm talking about the sense of gaining emotional freedom, mental space, a sense of peace, right? All of that is all about regaining or forgetting all of the ground that I've gained, right? So I think that's another thing. So we forget the time and cost and effort that regaining the lost ground will require. 4, we forget maybe the pain as to how that last conversation went with our wives or fiancés or girlfriends around our continued porn use. It's like it's just out of our minds, right? So I will say this again. To relapse requires us to forget. It's that simple. So it would stand to reason that the deliberate process of remembering is one of the most powerful recovery tools that we can practice. So let's go back to the topic or the title of this podcast and finish the statement. If relapse is forgetting, then recovery is remembering. I'll say that again. If relapse is forgetting, then recovery is remembering. So what are the things that we need to remember? And in one sense, this is just the opposite of the things that we forgot. So recovery is remembering the pain that accompanies the short burst of pleasures that come from our porn use. So you remember, if I go ahead and do this, it's going to come with a heck of a hangover. And it's going to feel, yucky, horrible when I finally end this session. So I remember the pain. It's going to be accompanied. Number 2, I remember all sorts of uncomfortable conversations that I'm going to need to have. Maybe you're in a group that really practices rigorous honesty. Well, it's going to require, if I'm going to be honest, because honesty is a part of any healthy recovery, I'm going to have uncomfortable conversations then around this whole what's just happened. So it recalls remembering uncomfortable conversations. 3, I remember the gains that I have made in my recovery and how hard fought for they have been won. And I recall that, I bring that to mind. I remember the gains that I have made. And again, it's not just clean time, it's about the internal changes, the increased clarity, the sense of confidence, all of those things. I remember the gains I've made, which goes to the next one. I remember, number 4, I remember the benefits that my recovery has introduced into my life. I bring those to mind. I recall them. I remember. Number 5, I remember the new opportunities that my recovery now affords me. The ability to go boldly where I have not gone before. So I'm remembering new opportunities, perhaps new relationships. Maybe you're single, you're coming out of your 20s or you're in your 20s, and your porn use has caused you to perhaps shrink back from building great new confident relationships with the opposite sex. And so you bring to mind, you remember, this is making me more confident. This is making me more, is increasing my ability to build healthy, positive relationships. This is helping me to connect with my buddies a lot better without having to hide or be staying at home and hiding from them. All of those things I remember, I bring to mind. So just to go back, if relapse is about forgetting, then recovery is about remembering. Now, I think it could be helpful. I'm just going to give you 3 little devices, and I've shared them before, but it's just good to remind ourselves 3 practical devices that help us overcome forgetting and help us aid remembering. You might have had these little things when you meet somebody new. Here's an example. And ever had the situation where you meet somebody new and they give you their name and you give them their name, and in 10 seconds you already forgot. And then you feel bad for the whole rest of the conversation. So they say that when somebody tells you their name, let's say you meet them at a party or an event, then use their name 2 or 3 times in the first minute or 2, and it will be a practical aid to help you remember and not forget. So here is 3 examples, things that I do, devices I use to overcome forgetting and to aid in my remembering. Number 1, a daily practice of gratitude. Now, I've shared this many times. Every morning, I am so grateful for what my recovery has brought and brought me into my life. I am grateful for the freedom. I am grateful for the peace. I am grateful for the joy. I am grateful for the clarity. I am grateful for the confidence. And I just do this little exercise. I usually do it by, I'm grateful for clarity as opposed to confusion. I'm grateful for, joy as opposed to despair. And so for me, it's just my little way of resetting my mind every day, bringing to mind, recalling the benefits of my recovery. So whenever, and there's rarely a day goes by where I don't have a thought, I'd like to have a little bit of a little bit of sugar today. Thank you very much. Just a little bit of sugar. And whenever I have my porn sugar thought, then it's easier for me to bring back, you know what? Don't forget all of those benefits that recovery has brought into your life. And when I'm practicing that on a daily basis, it's never far from my memory. It's like, well, I just did that this morning. And it's right there. So that would be the first thing, a daily practice of gratitude for your recovery. Now, the second one is, and I've done a whole podcast on this, is just negative reminders. I don't call them punishments. I don't call them consequences. I call them reminders. When I think, I could act out right now, but then I have set for myself a couple negative reminders that if I go ahead and act out, one of them, of course, is I'm going to have, for me, probably about 5 uncomfortable conversations with people in my life that I've committed to tell them, right? So sometimes that's the only negative reminder I need. But I often have, now that football season's over, that one's not going to work. But I've done other things where I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to go out and volunteer at the food bank, or I'm going to do things. And oftentimes when thoughts of acting out come to me, simply the fact of going, yeah, but then on Thursday night, I'm going to have to volunteer the evening and go out and, which I really don't like doing. Sorry, I just not my way of spending an evening. I'm just, not that wired that way. So anyways, that's oftentimes, that's really all that I need in terms of me, in terms of moving forward. I think the other one that I practice, a positive reminder, is just this, to say, you know what, I love to set future goals and then pair them with something, that I really recover, that I really anticipate. And when I say set future goals, it's just simple little goals around my recovery. So right now it's February, and I have set this future goal of, on Father's Day, now that's June, so March, April, May, June, that's like 4 months away. I have this new router picked out from my router table. I bought a router table for Christmas, or my kids did, and I have this brand new router picked out. And I have basically decided I'm going to build all of my own kitchen cabinets, but I need this router to do the dados for it. Now, you woodworkers get it, the rest of you have glazed over. But what I've said is I want to celebrate my recovery on Father's Day. And to do that, I want to pair that with a brand new router to go with my router table. So that's something I've set down the road as a positive reminder. So whenever I think of acting out, I go, you know what? I'm really looking forward to that new router in June. Or here's another one. I've planned to go down and speak at a conference this fall in Dallas. I've been asked to come down and speak. And so I also use that as a bit of a positive, momentum building reminder to say, in November, I want to go down there. If hopefully I can take in a game, but if not, I have some great gear that I want to buy. And again, it's just a way, in a very tokenish kind of way, to say, remember, you're on the right track. Remember, this is what you want for your life. So, in conclusion, let me say again, if relapse is forgetting, then recovery is remembering. We'll see you next time.